station. It is 9 o'clock, time for Imus in the Morning News. A look at some of the local headline stories. First of all, nearly 100 children are among those left homeless by a fire in Brooklyn. Happened over the weekend. Dozens of firefighters battling a 3-alarmer in Williamsburg. This was on Saturday night.
Best talking about ordering drugs online, prescription drugs online. If let's just say, for example, Vicodin. You have to get a prescription from the doctor, and you have to take that to the pharmacy. You can't phone it in. So it's a serious. And in this situation, Charles simply ordered it online and sent it to his house.
Here, I'll hit it for you right now, baby.
But my question, Charles.
Yes, sir.
Is how do you know?
This is what I got.
I wouldn't.
Right here's what I got, I believe.
How do you know you can trust this stuff?
That's my question. I just don't know if I would be taking stuff.
I'll try it out.
Yeah, I'll just pop one.
Well,
see
let's
what
not
happens.
just be trying stuff. I mean, the point is that it's outrageous that people can do this.
Here's all you know how to take this medication, possible side
Connie
effects,
said
precautions.
you got 60 tablets. And Connie said it was $169.
Yeah, right here. 200. Yeah.
Well, that's more than you would have to pay at a drugstore.
Of course, that's the premium you pay for being able to do this.
Maybe people just need to take personal responsibility.
Well, how come it's not against the law?
It probably is.
It is?
But then you go through. Oh, I wish I could find it.
Why is it against the law to drink a bottle of Jack?
Here, just a minute.
Dosage responsible drug taker, recreational.
Yeah.
Friday night, 5 Vicodins.
Pop a little Vicodin. Take a little shot.
Couple cans of beer.
Here's what I got.
Right.
It says brand name Vicodin. Down here is the low-cost alternative. You can try these generic ones, generic Vicodin.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get the brand name.
Oh, sure.
On the real deal.
Yeah.
So that's what I got.
You're willing to pay top dollar for the good stuff.
Absolutely.
I want to hang out with Chuck this weekend.
See, here's the thing. And then you have to fill out, do you smoke cigarettes? Or do you smoke more than a pack a day? Do you consume more than 2 servings? Are you currently pregnant? Do you plan to become pregnant? Have you had a complete? Then you list all the prescription medications you're currently taking, and I just filled this out, dude. Or, do you suffer?
Okay.
That's my little doctor's deal.
Fine.
And then
21 after the hour here on the Army.
I submitted the order, and it said order confirmed, and it came 3 days later. I got the Vicodin.
What kind of
But
world?
you don't know that it's real Vicodin. Bring one of them in tomorrow.
Fine.
Just bring one.
I will absolutely bring one.
How are you going to know? You're just going to look at it?
Oh, yeah, he'll know.
Smell it.
Snort it. I know something about it.
Cut it up a little bit?
He can just smell it and know it.
Yeah. Janice Dean is here, and Janice, as I explained to her off there, has not been getting it done lately.
What else?
For a variety of reasons. One,
Why?
she's not taking care of herself, so she got sick. So that represents irresponsible behavior.
You're right.
I can go to
Then on the day of the fight,
That I couldn't believe.
she calls in sick, and there was no one here. We were all at Chelsea Piers. So,
I wanted to see if Mark was up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
well,
Were you really that sick?
I was. And
No, she
honestly,
wasn't.
I'll tell you, you know that I would come in here.
we don't want any gory details about what actually happened, what the symptoms were, and all those kinds of things. Just that if you were sick and you couldn't obviously go to work.
I know, and I apologize.
Well, your apology is not accepted.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry.
it was irresponsible behavior.
I think she would have been reveling in Sid's beating that he took.
I don't know. I
She had
think
to
she
spend a lot of
likes Sid. We all like Sid,
I
actually.
did, and I'll be quite honest with you. I was watching the fight at home,
I felt bad about it.
and I started to cry when I saw his nosebleed.
But here's the thing that Bernie was faced with. One, he got dragged into this thing. That's number one.
Against his will.
Against his will.
Sid's idea.
Number
Kicking
two,
and screaming.
if he gets in the ring with somebody, there's a potential that he could get hit.
At
Bernie
any point.
could get hit.
Yeah.
At any point. So he had to fight.
I know.
He had guaranteed that he would knock me out. He would guarantee to break my nose, and I was fully aware of that.
So
at all
Why are
times.
we surprised?
So-
I mean, here. This
So
is
then
something-
once Bernie, in the first few seconds of the fight, it was clear that Sid was not prepared to fight and so on.
It was clear on
Then
the
you have
way
to
to the
ask.
ring.
Then you have to ask the question, why Bernie went ahead and then administered the kind of vicious beating that he administered.
Well,
Did you into that?
That was my point.
I sort of thought that maybe he'd take it easy on him. Because
At that point, it was clear that Sid couldn't fight.
There was
And
no
nevertheless-
way.
His right hand was always a danger to me.
There was no way
Always.
that Bernie could get hurt. There's no way.
Yeah,
No.
look, if he felt he was that hurt, he should have thrown in the towel.
You want any packs?
Well,
So the referee should have stopped it, but I was just doing my job. I prepared, unlike him. He was irresponsible. He was lazy and stupid for not preparing.
Right. Well.
And it could have been a really exciting fight with both of us getting
You
smashed.
know what it was like? It was like the Tiger and Sid, Bill, and Roy.
It really was.
You were the Tiger.
Yeah.
And you just
he
you,
was the pussy.
No. Yeah, well, yes. Okay, that'll be fine.
Wild
24 after
animal.
the hour here after the Imus Morning program. Patrick McEnroe came in this morning. He gave me some Davis Cup T-shirts, which I'm going to wear one to the gym today.
Yeah, they're
so.
neat.
Damn
They're
right.
neat.
Gave you a nice
I
hat there.
I stopped by the Yale Medical bookstore
Yeah.
and got some Yale School of Medicine T-shirts because I feel like a member of the faculty and that I've been there so long.
Right, right.
So I have those in my Davis Cup.
You need any Levitra?
What a combination.
Having once been a pretty good amateur tennis player myself, you know.
Well,
Not bad.
hold on a second.
Oh, I
now.
used to be pretty good.
Don't
Not like you
even
guys,
kid me.
Hey, he could hit.
I could
I
hit
saw
pretty
him.
good.
You used to play at the Vertical Club a lot, right?
With
Florence,
Florence
the Romanian guy?
Florence
Yes.
Jagesco.
A wild
Florence
man.
Jagesco, yes.
Good job. Good job
Right.
out of you, Chucky. Good job. Great job, Chuck.
Well, I would always, whenever we would play a game, I would always get too nervous and I couldn't deal with it. So.
Couldn't handle the heat.
No, I
baby.
couldn't.
Couldn't handle the pressure.
Could not handle it, so. Anyway, P-Max here. Well, first, Janice. What's going on, World Scum, Janice?
Scum Report, of course, always brought to you by the Oral-B 3D XL Power Toothbrush. According to a Newsweek article, Kobe Bryant was considering divorcing the little woman almost 4 months before he allegedly raped a teenage hotel employee
Why
at a Colorado
was he going
spa.
to divorce her?
It doesn't. It just says the NBA All-Star contacted a divorce lawyer in March, and when Vanessa found out, she reportedly had to be rushed to a California hospital.
And placed on life support. And by the way, it was 2 months after she had a baby, so
Yeah.
he's a real nice guy.
Wow.
More,
Well, they disagreed maybe on our position in Iraq or what?
Yeah.
perhaps. She needs
How
to
to pay
get
for it.
all the diamonds and money she can out of this guy, ASAP.
Oh.
And sources close to Bryant said he and the concierge began flirting shortly after he checked in on June 30th. She gave him a tour, delivered food to his room, and agreed to return after work. According to the magazine, the two had sex, but Bryant grew anxious because he was not using a condom. And at one point, she allegedly yelled for him to stop, to which Bryant's sources say he did.
Well, those are his friends that are saying that.
Yeah.
What else
This
are they
is
going
his
to say?
camp, of course. And a warrant has been issued for the arrest of Ben Affleck after a woman alleged he threatened to kill her. Tara Ray, who claims to be a one-time lover of the actor, appeared at a court on the weekend to press for the warrant, claiming Affleck had followed her to her home and communicated threats to her.
How about
She's
Demerol?
so jiggly.
Charles, stop ordering drugs. That's enough. We've demonstrated that it can be done.
Shopping cart is full.
You got morphine.
There's Patrick McEnroe who's returned on this day to fill in for Sid and do sports. Patrick's the captain of the U.S. Davis Cup team, tennis deal, and they just beat
Slovak. Yeah. Slovak Republic,
Slovakia,
Slovakia.
yeah.
It used to be part of Czechoslovakia.
And now, and by defeating them,
We re-qualify for next year for the main.
why was the United States put in a position of having to qualify?
Well, we lost earlier this year. I'm in
Was
Croatia.
that something your brother did or you did?
No, that was all on my plate.
Okay, but you're
But we're back, and we've got a
back.
great young team with
Okay.
led by Andy Roddick, and we're going to do some damage next year.
I like him. I don't know him, but I
Great
don't know
kid.
what it is about him I like.
Great
I'm happy
kid.
he won the U.S. Open. He seems like a nice kid.
A lot of
He's got a lot of
personality.
passion. And
Yeah, a lot of
Snotty
charisma.
little jackass.
He's not a snotty little jackass. He's a nice kid. Isn't he a nice kid or not?
He's willing to
Big
go
mouth.
in there against someone that can give him some competition, Bernard.
As opposed to beating a helpless
beating up on pulps.
Yeah.
He can learn some court manners, this kid, and I'll teach it to him, too.
He doesn't need any good. Jimmy Connors
smacking the
didn't need
ball
any.
out.
John McEnroe didn't need any. Ian Stasi didn't need any.
They did need it, as a
Well,
matter
they
of fact.
made it fun to
Made
go
it
watch.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know, he's bringing some personality back to the game. We
Yeah.
need that.
So what's going on in sports?
Well, the Red Sox won 5-4. They played Game 5 tonight in Oakland.
Mike Breen said at the fight on Thursday that the Red Sox would go home and win both games.
Well, he's right about that.
Then they go back out to Oakland, take it to the ninth inning, and something horrible will happen.
That's exactly what will happen.
But
Pedro, I think Pedro is going to have some trouble tonight. Everyone's just assuming that he's going to go out there and pitch it.
Well, he had a bad outing before,
Exactly.
so he's due for a good outing.
How about handling the heat? Handling the
That's
pressure,
time to
Pedro.
step up.
Well, I think he can. I think.
It's put up or shut up.
I understand
Pedro.
that, but I think he can. I feel
Barry
confident.
Zito, outstanding pitcher, great.
Fine. Well, so is Pedro.
Yeah, oh, he's great.
Okay.
But let's see him step up now. When it
So,
counts.
all right. Well,
Because
then,
guess who's waiting for him? Yankees.
Well, that's fine.
da-na-na-na.
that's fine. But
How big will Mike Francesa's chest be sticking out today when he comes
it
in?
would be a bad day. It's a bad day for Mad Dog Rizzo. The Giants really just got whooped on by the
performance.
Yeah,
Don't
really
they,
was
don't they
pathetic.
wish they hadn't gotten rid of Dusty Baker?
Yeah, Dusty Baker goes to Chicago, and it gets them, first of all, to the playoffs, and then they win the first playoff series since 1908.
When they won the World Series. Now they'll take on the Marlins
Yeah.
in the National League Championship Series.
Right.
Cubs will romp in that
And
series.
then in Monday Night Football, another good game as well, Tampa Bay and
Great
Indianapolis.
ball game. You know, it's been a week
But-
of homecomings I'm in the NFL.
You know, I've stopped reading fiction because, you go through different phases in your life, and I become a much more serious person now. So I don't have time for frivolous pursuits like reading Ray Charles fiction, and I don't have time for frivolous sports. Football being a frivolous sport. Not that I don't enjoy it, but baseball, of course, is much more of a
Much more cerebral.
Yes, much more of an
Absolutely.
intellectual game.
Absolutely.
So I'll be watching the baseball game this
Sort
evening.
of like tennis.
I can get you opium.
One-on-one, cerebral.
Charles,
Actually, I can.
Charles, you've got to stop ordering drugs.
Sorry.
Do they have the Viagra for women on there?
Yes, they do.
Bring it on.
Okay.
That will be
Sounds like Janice wants to work for Arnold's campaign.
You know, I was taking Viagra for my breathing. Did you know that? Taking one a day?
Is that what the excuse was?
No, it wasn't an excuse.
There's your fiction right there.
Yeah.
Don't you remember that study we read?
Yeah, I can hook you up. I know that.
I never noticed any difference.
In what?
In
any
whether it made my breathing better or not.
Well, did it make anything else better?
You make anything
No,
stand
it doesn't do that, apparently, unless you...
If you know what I mean.
But it was supposed to... What was that study we read one time from the...
It enhances blood flow, and
Right.
therefore, it supposedly takes more blood to I don't know what it does.
So we thought it might, but it didn't. Or at least
But there was a study that suggested that it could help in certain applications.
So I
of
tried it.
People who have respiratory distress.
It's like I was sucking that Advair stuff.
Yeah.
What's it called? I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But that makes your voice hoarse.
Yeah.
Because it has steroids in it.
Get your Levitra. It's the new stuff, this the Viagra alternative. Levitra, I can get you that right here. Well, no problem.
Well, why wouldn't you just go to a doctor and get that?
Why go to a doctor when I get it right here in just 2 clicks? Just...
It is 32 after the hour. Little Uncle Tupelo now.
Take my picture off the wall. It don't matter to me at all that I've headed for a fall. You wanted me to crawl. Give back my TV. Don't mean that much to me. While you're giving back my things, give me back the key to my heart. Give back the key to my heart. And let my love flow like a river straight into your heart, dear. Imus in the morning.
Question: can anyone, anywhere get your Lincoln or Mercury ready for the road better than your dealership?
No.
Don't take chances. Get the works, an oil change, and a whole lot more from the factory trained.
It's 23 till the hour here in the Imus in the Morning program on the radio around the country and on MSNBC. Opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange is sponsored by the All-Bay 3D XL toothbrush from Gillette. Market's been open for 7.5 minutes, and it's up almost $10.
Okay.
So, 10 points. With a brief update of what's going on in the world, here's Charles McCoy. Chuck?
Candidates in the California recall race, I'm in the last full day of campaigning for the governorship. A poll suggesting a tight race emerged over the weekend, and so did fresh accusations against Arnold Schwarzenegger. He continued to blame the widening scandal basically on political dirty tricks, noting the timing of these stories coming out. Their discoveries in magnetic resonance imaging, MRIs, have earned them the Nobel Prize for Medicine, Paul Lauterbur of the United States, and Sir Peter Mansfield Britain the recipients of the $1.3 million prize. The MRI, of course, has become a routine method for diagnosis and treatment. The United States is looking for new ways to get other countries behind the reconstruction of Iraq. Secretary General Kofi Annan threw a proposed UN resolution into doubt when he reportedly ruled out a UN political role so long as U.S. and British forces are still running the country. And the White House will assume more responsibility and control over efforts to suppress the unrest in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. The New York Times reporting National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice will run a new Iraq stabilization group. And let's see, Amnesty International says the plight of many Afghan women has barely improved, hasn't improved at all in many cases since the ouster of the Taliban. A report being released today documents instances of widespread violence against women, forced marriage, and also rape. And it was a long-awaited victory. Cubs fans reveled in their team's 5-1 win over the Braves, advanced them deeper into the postseason. Fans rushed out of sports bars, swarmed outside Wrigley and so on, cheering the win scored in Atlanta.
No riots in Chicago.
No riots. No rioting, though, evidently.
Set any police cars on
I
fire.
haven't seen that so far, I do, but
That's too bad.
Game 5.
Not too bad, be honest.
First postseason series for the Cubs since 1908. So that's a big deal.
It is 21 now until the hour.
It's a cheating situation, a stealing invitation to take what's not really ours, to make it through the midnight hour. It's a cheating situation, just a cheap imitation, doing what we have to do when there's no love at home. Imus in the morning.
All right, let me talk to you now about Joe O's, a truly real restaurant offering lighter, serious food, cross street Metro. 15 till the hour here on the Imus Morning program. Delbert McClinton was in earlier this morning.
Man,
He was at B.B. King's on Saturday night.
got to be there.
Huh?
You got to be there. It's just terrific.
It already happened.
We'll be a little late, Charles.
He's
Well,
ordering,
he doesn't have another. He doesn't have. That was it.
No, he was.
Oh man,
keep ordering drugs. over
Charles,
there.
Charles, ordering drugs and half paying attention.
Cialis, I can get that for.
No, you don't need any more drugs. Here's Patrick McEnroe with sports.
Well, a very sad story last week, I'm sure you heard about this. The great author and raconteur George Plimpton passed away, and of course he was famous for sort of taking up other people's professions. I mean, he boxed with Archie Moore, he pitched to Willie Mays, he took up race car driving. Well, now we've learned that Plimpton's final literary work will be published posthumously, and it is, if you may have figured out, the story of a man, Sidney Rosenberg, who tried to rip off Plimpton's career and failed. And according to agent Esther Newberg, who I spoke to this morning, the working title is Paper Schmuck.
Esther genuinely dislikes Sid.
Well, that's not right. Sid is a good man.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I mean, there's a lot of issues there. That we know.
Yeah.
But you just sort of want to give the guy a big hug.
Yeah. It's not he bit off more than he could chew with Bernie, but then there was no excuse for Bernie. Then once he knew what the situation was, about 10 seconds into the fight, to then administer a vicious beating.
I disagree.
What was he supposed to do? Sid didn't lie down.
No.
Sid did fight back.
He
He
tried
tried.
to take my head off with some.
Try to take your head off?
With the right hand. He was trying to roundhouse whatever it was he was doing.
But I mean, you could see that.
That's like a feather hitting the side of your head.
I think that
Any fighter knows you go in there, you're looking to kill until they stop the fight.
that's true.
Bottom line.
So Bernard tried to kill him and nearly did.
Yeah. Which I think
So,
was.
I upheld my end of the bargain, the obligation.
You could have taken it easy.
To the kids with cancer, to the people who came to watch.
Yeah.
Did you see the look in Bernie's face in the beginning of that third round? I mean, he wanted to take him down hard.
That was a crazy person.
And I would have had they not stopped it, believe me.
Manic.
I think.
I mean, literally, remember those great pictures you used to get of Mike Singletary, the great linebacker of the Chicago Bears?
That's
The
exactly
eyes
what-
bulging.
That's exactly what you look like. That's
that
a good
was
analogy.
frightening.
Yeah. That was shoveling.
Bernard, berserk,
He
McGurk.
dragged me into the whole thing. I did not want to be in there fighting some schmuck on TV on a Thursday morning, so I was
Paper schmuck?
angry.
Yeah. Well, so you
Maybe he did.
So I tried to
You know what I
knock
think,
his eyeball
Iman?
out to the
What?
third row.
You know, Bernie comes across here as a supporter of the I-Man, and
Right.
he does his job. But I think, there's a lot of frustration in that man.
an anger.
Rage.
And
No,
rage.
not at all. It was merely a professional performance that morning.
Oh, man, I mean,
I left it all in the ring.
No, he lost it. That's what happened.
We're
He
lucky
lost
Sid
it.
survived, frankly.
We are. Well,
You could
or-
see early on
Are we?
that it was
Some
going
might
to be.
not say that.
Yeah. What else in sports? Tonight,
Well, tonight's a big one.
Yeah.
Indianapolis visits. It's another homecoming. They had a few of them in the NFL over the weekend. And, I really think this homecoming, the PMAC return to Astoria, it's just gone phenomenally well.
Yes, it has gone
It's
well.
been very
exactly.
warm. Very warm.
Warm and cuddly. And so that's how the way we started out when we first started, Well, it took a slight turn, didn't it?
Yes, it did, because
It
the
got ugly.
McEnroe temperament. Melissa Erica, who is Erico, who's McEnroe's wife, has a new album out that is fabulous.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, I was really...
She is a fantastic.
You were a little surprised,
talent.
weren't you?
Yeah, I was surprised,
Yeah,
actually. I mean, I
yeah.
figured she could sing.
But I didn't know like this, my God.
But I didn't know that
You
it
didn't
was...
expect PMAC to marry some Yahoo, did you?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Come to
Actually,
think
when
of
you
it.
about it, yeah.
And you're happily married, right?
Yes, Janice.
Okay.
By the way, when she hits it big, it's going to be Pete who?
what, Janice, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, everybody who comes in here,
Oh, she really
What
is.
is
She's
the
a
deal here,
horrid
man?
individual.
Are there any other McEnroes that aren't married?
there's one that is. There's two, actually, but there's one in mine.
Cousins, second cousins, uncles,
I'll work on it.
grandparents.
I'll work on that.
I don't mind it.
I can't wait to male or female.
Good to see you again, P-Man.
Great to see
Thank
you,
you very
man.
much.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having me
doing
back.
this, by the way.
In my CD machine immediately.
What?
This goes in my CD thing on the way home. Man.
Tomorrow, Ambassador Joe Wilson will be on, and he's answered all of the questions, but we'll see if we can annoy him, right?
Right.
Which I'm sure we will be able to.
1-2 on Andrew Jones. 5-1 Cubs, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. And the pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Cubs win. Bring on the Marlins. Ron Santos, this one's for you. Cubs beat the Braves 5-1.
Levi was a dreamer, never got it right. Died in living color, lived in black and white. Faithful as a magnified, hung up on a song. She cried down to the breakfast nook, Lord, there's something wrong. Something wrong with the people. Something wrong with the people. Something wrong with the people. The believer is gone. I'm in the morning.
If you're losing your...
Hello, isn't that what Bernie did to you? You had to go there, huh? You had it. Cold hard cash. Isn't that like a cold hard right hand from McGurk? See, if I could move, Mac, I'd hit you with a cold hard right. But you can't, so you won't. But we'll hit you with the entire weekend recap today, 10 A to 1P. Mac and Sid, only right here on the Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN in New York.
We're serious about...
Because
Well, no,
Democrats have offered him to be a political hack. Well, that's a little unfair.
That's strong.
That's strong and cheesy.
Oh, wait a second, he's working for the Kerry campaign. It's not
Well,
all
that's
that.
fine. Sid is so stupid. Well, I was going to point this out to Sid. There isn't a 50-50 chance of a Cubs-Red Sox World Series. That probability is 25%.
you have 4 teams. The Cubs and the Red Sox are 2 of the 4 teams playing in the playoffs right
Well,
now.
it's probably really not that either, because you would have to factor in the odds of the teams winning, their potential for actually winning. So
This is like the conductivity argument we had earlier on in the program. You have 4 teams. You have 2 teams out of the 4.
this is not a discussion you want to have with us.
You sure?
I'm positive, because what the few brains you had left
Yeah.
are now scrambled
That's
thanks
true.
to Bernard.
That's true.
Who we pointed out, by the way, yesterday, and I think you'll agree with this. Once he saw that he was essentially fighting a washerwoman
Yeah.
who was horribly out of shape
Right. Yeah.
early on in the fight,
Yeah.
at that point he could have opted not to administer this vicious beating that he did administer.
Yes. Now, I've heard that from a couple of people,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of friends, and this weekend spending the holidays up in the mountains. Some people did say that. It looked early on like there was no way Bernie was going to lose this fight, and yet he still had that look in the third round, like he did very much in the first round, which was, I want to kill you right here, right now.
Except that,
And I agree with all that, by the way.
except that you kept fighting.
Right. No, listen, if I was in Bernie's shoes, this is what I told these people before, I said, if I was killing Bernie the way Bernie was killing me, I would not have relented either. I would have done the same exact... Bernie did what anybody else would have done.
Yeah, but you kept trying to hit him. Nevertheless, he could have taken it easier on you, I thought.
Well, he could have just held you off with like
Yeah,
that.
Rather than really trying to
But
finish.
what had happened, it did damn near turned into a hate crime.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's no
Into
question.
a what?
A hate crime.
They hadn't stopped the fight, it would have been.
A hate crime?
It almost, as I saw
It was terrifying.
almost a hate crime. Almost was worthy of a criminal investigation.
Yeah, it was.
of Bernard.
Yeah.
Well, at that moment, I hated Sid.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean,
That's what you're supposed to do when you get in the ring. You hate your opponent.
You
I
have.
did.
You have.
What did
I
your
loathed
wife
him.
say when you got home?
She didn't watch the fight. She was horrified.
I don't know.
you
Yeah,
really
like a
did look.
steak?
I mean, I was talking to Cynthia Conde, your former trainer.
Sure, know her very well. Yeah.
There was a time you were in pretty good shape.
You know what happens? I was in good shape, and I wasn't in very good shape for the fight. But I will say this.
You were in horrible shape.
Well, I mean,
He was in fine shape, believe me. He just doesn't have the skills.
Bernie just beat the hell out of me that day. That's all it comes down to. But I will say this, when you go into the ring and you think you have all these grand schemes of how you're going to do this and do that,
Yeah.
as soon as you get punched in the face, all goes right out the door. I mean, it's all gone. It's just, you
Well, that's what Mike Tyson said. Everybody has a plan till they get hit.
right, exactly. And then it's all gone. And then it's just a matter of survival.
Great philosopher, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mug.
14 after the hour.
Like a mule kicking.
Word from the mount.
It was great, too, because I was upstairs with my family, and my nieces and nephews were kind enough to tape the fight.
Yeah.
So I came back from
Replaying
Temple
it
yesterday, and I'm watching myself get beat to death again yesterday afternoon, and then we came back last night. They were replaying the fight again.
Hey, is Bigfoot putting together a tape for me where it opens with my mother-in-law singing the national anthem? Then we go to Larry's fight introduction, which was classic. Did you see that?
I saw some of it, and everybody who told me about it said that Larry Kenny was nothing short of brilliant.
I mean, we were screaming laughing.
Hysterical, yeah.
So can we get that and the fight on a videotape?
Absolutely not. No, they're putting it together for the Ironman, of course.
Maybe we can sell them.
What did I tell you a couple of weeks ago? $29.99, the perfect stocking stuffer for Christmas.
come on.
The beer
Not
at
a bad
the pier.
idea. Not a bad idea.
And we'll take the money, we'll put 50% towards the ranch, and I'll get the rest. Now, at this point, after I got my ass beat like that, I have to get compensated somehow.
And Minka will be in.
me?
And Minka will be.
Oh, yeah, you won.
At least I did the work for the fight. You didn't do anything. You were lazy and stupid.
Minka will be in Thursday morning in his Speedo, incidentally, quarter after the hour. Oh, man, I love this record. These guys are back together now, by the way. That old Raoul weighs about 400 pounds now. Obviously eating.
Across the globe, suspense has many...
Well, I tell you.
Like Joe Benigno, the overnight guy. I love Joe, too. But Joe said when the Jets lost a game, it ruined his celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for me to ruin that celebration, by the way.
I understand that,
Yeah,
Sid,
sure.
but...
Yeah, Jewish, of course.
But that's...
Well, this is what Sid. I mean, and Mad Dog is a San Francisco Giants fan,
Which is bad enough, by the way. He does the local show on the New York station. All he talks about is San Francisco baseball.
and they lost. Well, let's move on. But here was Mad Dog yesterday.
Mike, I knew that was going to be. After they lost game 2, I knew the Giants. But think about this for a second if you're a Giant fan. Just put yourself in my shoes. The Florida Marlins have been in existence for 10 years. They have done nothing. They had one great year in 97, and now they're having this magical run again. And both times at the expense of the Giants. Think about that for a second.
Yep.
I have been around for 50 years. Not a thing. Twice this team out of nowhere has knocked us off twice. I'll give you one other stat. Yeah, Giants have played 4 postseason games in Joe Robbie Stadium in the last 6 years. And they have lost every game in the last at-bat.
Yep.
Every freaking game in that stupid ballpark, they've lost in the last. I got Ernie Kashonis calling me up and going crazy. Marlin this, Marlin that. Marlin fans are nowhere to be found. And now I can't win a game in that park in front of 65,000 people. I'll tell you, Saturday I was so upset. And I thought I was beyond it. I thought it wouldn't bother me. Saturday I was mad at Rodriguez. I was mad at JT. So I wasn't mad at JT, but I was mad at Rodriguez. I was Jerome Williams. I'm mad at everybody. I cannot believe. And then I got the Yankees walking through the park in Minnesota, pounding the Twinks. Mariano pitching great. Clemens and Wells, who I hate, going out there being great. And now I got to deal with the Yankees winning another World Championship, probably beating the Red Sox and Cubs along the way, and I'm out in the first round. I mean, why waste my time? Every single freaking year, I get myself juiced up for this stupid team, and at 43 years of age and 3 kids, enough already. Let them go hurt somebody else. I mean, when am I ever going to have a chance to win a lousy freaking champion? One time! Not 20! One lousy goddamn time! Gee whiz! Every single, beep that GD. Every single time! Ah, come on, will you please? Can you beat the Florida Marlins one time? 4 straight losses in that ballpark, not to mention Busch Stadium in 87, not to mention 93, 12-1. Last year, they spit it up every single time. The game in Wrigley Field, nobody beats the Cubs. We can't beat them in 98. Nobody beats them. We stink. The Mets, the lousy Mets did it to us. Gosh, every time. I never win. Every year I'm sitting there, and I'll be there October 26th, and they're big dusty to annoy me. I'll be there October 26th, and the Yankees will be parading down the Canyon of Heroes with their 27th championship, and I'm out again. I don't care how many books I write, how many kids I have, how many Marconis. I don't care. Mike can put me on that show forever. I don't care. Win one. I'll give it all back. I'll leave now. One. That's all I want is one. Oh, no. I'll leave. I swear I'll leave. I'll quit. Must think you'll be happy. I'll leave one time. Once. I'll get out of here forever. You never see me again. Let me win once. Once.
Well, here's what's troubling about that.
Yeah.
He said he would give back. Well, there's only one Marconi, by the way. Let's get hysterical. There's not 4 like the I missed one.
There you go. There's your focus.
So, and he would give back half of it.
Yeah.
And he would give back something else. But his 3 children.
Right.
He was willing to give them up.
Give them up in an instant.
In an instant for a San Francisco Giants baseball team.
Yep.
I mean, it really kind of gets you, don't you think?
I don't know I don't know how you rank your own life in what order, but that's not good.
The man's an idiot. There's really no other way to put it. I love him. He's a great guy, but he's an idiot.
If he got throat cancer tomorrow, Barry Bonds wouldn't wince when he was told. Nothing.
Oh, 28 after the hour. We'll talk with Ambassador Joe Wilson next.
Mama, he's crazy, crazy over me. In my life is where he said he always wants to be. I've never been so loved. He beats all I've ever seen. Mama, he's crazy. He's crazy over me. Imus in the morning.
All right. This week is National Fire Prevention Week, and we have an important fire safety message for parents whose children attend colleges and universities. Are the dormitory buildings where your child is housed protected with an automatic fire sprinkler system? If they are not, you ought to ask that question. Why not? If you're like most parents, you probably assume your kid's safe from fire. Unfortunately, this could be a tragic mistake. You'd be amazed at the number of colleges and universities do not have fire sprinklers in their student housing. What about fraternities and sororities? Ask the question. May be the most important question you ask to ensure your child's safety. On Friday, I'm going to talk with Representative Kurt Weldon on important federal legislation that's been introduced in Congress that'll give economic incentives for fire sprinkler system installations, be sure to log on to nfsa.org. And be sure fire sprinklers are installed where you live, work, or where you stay. You know what I'm saying?
Don't put your car in the paper. Bring it to Michael Crabtree's Toyota of Westport. You'll get top.
Even thanks.
But how do his numbers speak MVP? I mean, just how do they compare to A-Rods or Carlos Delgados? Or, I mean, it just...
Well, because...
But I don't think he's been that good from the get-go. I think what we've had here is a little social concern in the NFL. I think the media has been very desirous that a black quarterback do well. I think there's a little hope invested in McNabb, and he got a lot of credit for the performance of this team that he really didn't deserve.
One pill makes me happy, and one pill puts me at ease. And the ones my maid got for me cost me $20 a piece. Go ask Wilma about her press release. But if you're talking football, don't you take pills to relax, or you'll find you'll make a comment about Negro quarterbacks. Ask Mike Urban why I offended the blacks. Now everybody in the media has turned and put me in a spot and compared me to Dusty Baker, Al Campanis, and Trent Lott. Ask Chris Berman about this left wing plot. So I've resigned my TV position in an attempt to make amends, but don't make a rush to judgment that my career is at an end. Remember what I say here, my friends. It's just ESPN.
Rush Limbaugh here in the Emerson Morning program, and well, I didn't blow it up or scream at it, did I?
No, you did not, as a matter of fact.
Give me a brief look at the headline, Chuck.
Californian voters toppled Governor Davis, choose Arnold as his replacement. White House lawyers sifting through documents that could provide clues to who blew the cover of CIA operative Joe Wilson's wife. The White House is staging a public relations offensive on post-war Iraq. President Bush trying to put to rest growing doubts about how he's handling the situation there.
You know, I still, we were going to replay my conversation with Ambassador Joe Wilson this morning, but we're bogged down in the Arnold stuff.
Right.
But he couldn't answer the question. Is what he said, which I couldn't understand, is still on what he said when he got off the plane there in Niger.
Yeah.
And started, why did he say he was back? And why did he think that any Niger officials had any incentive to be forthcoming with him about all these various questions he was asking about how they produce the uranium and how much they produce and what and over what period of time did he do it? It was like only about a week. He's only there about a week. I mean, the whole thing said.
And who'd been calling him, and what sort of deals had...
Hi, Joe, how are you? What are you doing back? Oh, nothing. I just thought I'd come back and ask you a few questions about what you do with your uranium. And by the way, Azude called for Sam and the other guy. I mean, come on here. Somebody's jerking somebody's chain.
Yes, sir. Arafat has reportedly suffered a mild heart attack.
Good.
And GE and Vivendi have announced the signing of a definitive deal
that's good.
On merging NBC and Vivendi Universal Entertainment.
All right, here now live from Los Angeles is from the Redneck Riviera, the boy from the Bridge and Deliverance.
Yeah.
Our guy, former Congressman Joe Scarborough. Good morning, Mr. Scarborough.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing great.
You been up all night?
Been up all night, yeah. But not in Los Angeles. I'm actually in New York.
Oh, you are?
I am. Reported live from MSNBC World Headquarters in Secaucus.
So why should we care about this, other than for the novelty of it and it's sort of fun? And
well, I really don't think there's a good answer to that one. I don't know if we should care about it, other than what it says about the state of not only California politics but American politics. That you've got really the toughest job in America right now, which would be governor of the state of California. And the fact that you look at the lineup of the choices that voters of California had yesterday. You had Gray Davis, who's just obviously a miserable politician. You have Cruz Bustamante, who anybody that saw him sleepwalk through the debate understand what an absolute lightweight he is. And then you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who apparently has some major character flaws and never really came out and told people what he believed in. Everybody's talking about he's the second coming of Ronald Reagan. No, that's not the case. When Ronald Reagan ran for governor in 1966, people knew what he believed in. They'd heard Reagan give speeches all over the country, certainly heard him give a speech in 64 for Barry Goldwater. He knew the issues forwards and backwards, and that's something that Arnold doesn't know. And he's now running the fifth largest economy in the world.
The exit polls, among other things, see, by the way, it was amusing to watch Chris Matthews and his panel telling George Lewis, as well as Brokaw. Brokaw actually even said it about 7:15 or 7:45, California time, 11:15 here, that he didn't know what the results were of the exit polls, and of course I knew that he did know.
Right.
And they all knew.
I mean, it's obvious they all knew. I mean, they were no mystery there. Hamlet was killed at the beginning of the first act. They were going to wait until the polls closed in California,
yeah,
but they kept talking about, but well before, they all kept talking about how Governor Schwarzenegger was going to affect the party and the state and the nation.
Why did but anyway, back to the exit polls for a second. A couple of things that they showed were, were that Hispanics and union members abandoned the Democrats. Did they say why they did?
No, they didn't. They didn't talk specifics. It was interesting, though, that Gray Davis apparently alienated about half of the Hispanics that they talked to in the exit polls with his driver's licenses for giving driver's licenses to illegal aliens. And it was...
He was for that, or...?
Yeah, he was for that. He vetoed the bill time and again, saying it was a grave risk after 9/11, which, of course, it would be a grave risk after 9/11. And then, miraculously, a month or two ago, he changed his mind and decided that actually it wasn't such a bad risk, and went ahead and signed a bill that would give driver's licenses to illegal aliens.
Of course, without the illegal alien population of California, they'd have to shut the state down.
They would have to shut the state down, but you want to give them driver's licenses?
Well, how are they supposed to get to work?
Well, that's their problem.
Well, yeah,
I mean, they're breaking the law. I think
people who hire them are breaking the law.
I think what America's going to have to do, and the American leaders in the coming years, are going to have to confront the fact that California, Texas, Florida, and New York have economies that are fueled by illegal labor.
All your snooty Hollywood friends, Joe, that you hang out with.
Oh, they love me.
They all employ these illegal aliens.
Barbara, I mean, when I go to Barbara's mansion, I mean, yeah, they're just crawling all over the place.
There were a couple of ballot initiatives that were defeated. Do you know what they were?
No, not really.
Me either.
Yeah.
When does Arnold take office? Do we know that? How long does it take to certify this whole thing?
Well, before the election, a lot of Democrats Bustamante and others were raising concerns about the votes, counting every vote, and making sure it was done.
This morning, Joe seemed woefully unaware of what he was going to do on his own program tonight on MSNBC, which will happen at 10 o'clock.
He did, didn't he?
But, anyway, Joe will get up to speed, probably on a little programming meeting they have today.
Yeah.
Coming up is Laura Ingraham. I saw Laura last night appearing, I think it was on Fox with Susan Estridge, and Laura looked, I don't know if she looked uncomfortable or not, but...
Ill at ease, maybe, a little bit?
I don't know. I couldn't... By that time, I knew who had won the election, and I just went back to the Cubs game. Tim Russert is coming up as well. I saw him with Chris Matthews.
Yeah.
And I saw Brokaw as well, lying about not knowing, claiming he did not know the results of the election, and they did know. So, and I knew that they knew. So I didn't feel it was necessary to say, of course, we don't know. Well, of course, they do know. They know. They knew what the exit polls were, and they simply could have said, we know what they are, but we can't tell you, and I won't tell you until the polls close.
Yeah, would have been better approach.
And then Matthews all night kept saying that I hope we have some results at 11 o'clock, which was Eastern time, and he already knew they were going to have the results. And so that was disingenuous. And
just keep it real.
just tell us what to do. Let's say
what difference is it going to make to us?
You know, we've seen all the exit polls. We know who won, and we know what happened, but we can't tell you until 11 o'clock. So stay tuned, and we'll tell you then. Which is what he did. But he didn't say that.
Yeah.
They pretended they didn't know.
We'll forgive you for knowing.
And then they pretended that and then he kept saying, I hope we have some results to give you. Well, they had, oh, God. I mean, they had the results in the afternoon.
Got them in his hand.
That's just...
man, that's terribly upsetting.
Why IR hate the media? Don't we, Charles?
Absolutely.
You know we're part of it, but we don't hate that part. We like our part. We love our part. Anyway, then we'll talk to Chris Matthews and rest of it.
Okay.
And try to make us care about all this, you know?
Sure.
The Cubs won, lost last night, as I said, but tonight we're discussing with Sid, will be picture-in-picture time on the two baseball games.
Yeah, it's a huge night.
And I guess there are some people that care about this hockey situation, but I just can't imagine. I had a really sad, troubling anecdote relayed to me this morning. Bernard's kids are like 8 and 10 years old, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And his daughter's 8 and Brendan is 10. So they're old enough to obviously know what's going on. Really know what's going on. So I said, did they see the fight? And Bernard said, well, yes, they did. And his daughter, Melanie, right?
Correct.
Had to cover her eyes.
Beautiful little girl, isn't she?
And yes, she is. And then she said, when her daddy got home, her question was, does Sid have any kids?
Yeah.
And Bernard said, well, no, honey, but he's going to have one. She said, well, that's good, because they would have been really sad.
Aww. She usually likes it when Bernie beats up the Jews, so wonder what
Shut up, Eddie, you moron.
Come on, man. So we're having a poignant moment here, you
come on.
you idiot.
We're trying out loud.
Don't you have that thing in the side because you have diabetes, that pump deal?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to jerk it out of your thing there, so
Stick in the eye.
stick it in your eye. Watch you flop around on the floor like a fish.
Don't project your feelings onto my daughter, okay?
Yeah, you're a horrid human being, Eddie.
Jerk.
Ah, what a creep.
Do you still keep the pump thing on when you have sex, Eddie?
Yeah.
Well, you do.
Yeah, you can detach, but you know.
That's interesting.
Well, unfortunately, you can take it out, and Eddie would be okay for about 3 weeks, and then he'd go into a coma.
Yeah.
I said I really didn't want to wait for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be like 3 minutes.
Right.
How does it stay on, though?
Hey, baby, I'll hold it for you. Oh, you just wear a little
Pay me
shirt.
first.
Why don't you and Janice, why don't you go in the studio and talk to Eddie if that's what you want to do?
Well, it is
Meanwhile, butt out.
It is kind of interesting, though. I mean, it's a little pump device.
It's like a fanny pack thing.
Oh, is it?
Well, sort of, isn't it, Eddie?
Well, it's like a little beeper,
Yeah.
if you will.
Oh, okay.
If you want to see me flop around, you should just press the buttons and make me take like 20 units of insulin and then not let me eat. That'll be pretty quick. I'll be dead within 3 hours.
Well, I don't want you dead.
No.
I just want to see you flop around a while.
Right.
So I think that'd be kind of fun.
All right.
Wouldn't it?
I'll come back.
To watch Eddie flop around?
Of course it will.
I'll come back later.
All right.
So butt out of my poignant story about Bernie's kids and poor Sid.
Well, did you finish the poignant
It wasn't
story?
a nice story. No, he's ruining it.
That's what I thought.
My balls are always bouncing, and my balls are always...
That's heard all over the country on the Talk Radio Network. She's the author of The Hillary Trap. Her columns have appeared in the New York Times, Washington Post, and so on. Frequent political commentator. Worked for CBS News, MSNBC. She's a former criminal defense attorney. She was a law clerk for the Supreme Court. She's a graduate of Dartmouth College and the University of Virginia Law School. She has a best-selling book, first week in the New York Times bestseller list at number 6.
Good Lord.
Shut Up and Sing.
Yeah.
This is a great title, published by
Gregory.
Yeah. How elites from Hollywood, politics, and the UN are subverting America. A book not without humor. Pretty good.
Yep.
Here's the author of that, Laura Ingham. Good morning, Miss Ingram.
Hey, Imus.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm out here on the West Coast where everyone's still partying, it seems.
I saw you last night with Susan Estridge.
Right.
And Miss Estridge, which seems like she's trying to become a Republican or something.
Yeah, she's moved way to the right.
Well, Laura, I don't think we should really bring Jim Clinton into this. He's not fair at all. I don't know, Imus. I think you're so unfair. I love you.
I'm sorry, my voice is...
No, do more. It's too funny. She was talking...
I don't die. Who knows what's going to happen, Greta?
While she was talking, you were staring at the camera as
Don't you hate that? I hate those kinds of shots.
Well, why were you doing? Why weren't you looking at her?
Well, because they told us to both look at the camera, and I thought they were going to do a close-up shot on her and then a close-up shot on me, but they did one of those doofus shots where they have the camera on both people sitting there. And what are you going to do? Do hand puppets? No, here's the eagle. Here's the rabbit hand puppet. That would actually be funny. I should have done that.
Anyway, did you support... first of all, why should we care about any of this, other than just the novelty of it?
Well, I got to tell you, I think that what happened, and no joking here, I think that what happened here is that the elites really had this shoved in their faces, because do you remember a couple of weeks ago, all these people from the East Coast sort of media elite establishment were poo-pooing the circus in California. Oh, it's so crazy. And in fact, the momentum is moving against the recall. Do you remember all that breathless commentary?
Yes.
And also, all of these people, and let's talk about the judicial elites for a second. We almost had 3 unelected judges stop this recall election. And I think what happened ultimately is the people said, we don't really pretty much care what people, even like George Will, what they were saying about the recall, that it wasn't democracy in practice. I mean, we had 65 to 70% of the people of California who were registered to vote turn out to vote. That is unreal. And I think that is a great sign.
What was the percentage again?
60 to 75% of registered voters turned out to vote. That is unbelievable.
Why did all the Hispanics and labor people union people abandon the Democrats?
Well, I think a lot of the reason the Hispanics are abandoning the Democrats, not only in California but nationwide, is because they're not as stupid as the Democrats want to believe that they are. They actually believe in fairness, and they believe in economic equity. And I believe what they were thinking at the time is, we're tired of being taken for granted by the Democrat Party, and especially by arrogant and condescending people like Gray Davis. I think that's very positive. I did a couple of book events over the last couple of days here in California, out in Torrance and in Orange, and I was stunned at how many Hispanics, Asians, Eastern Europeans were showing up and just expressing their utter disgust with the Democrat Party out here. No joke. I mean,
showing up at your book signing?
Yeah, unbelievable. I was stunned.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was great.
Who did you support in this?
Well, I'm more of ideologically more of a Tom McClintock person, but he came on my show and I said, Tom, you gotta get a personality transplant if you're going to win, first of all. He had he didn't have that magnetic fire, and once Arnold got in, and once the state party decided they were going to let him run with it, there was no way that McClintock was going to win. And so we have a lot of bitter Democrats today, but there are also a lot of bitter conservatives who are really upset that this celebrity with very strong Democratic social leanings is going to take over the state. But I think it's great. I got to tell you, I think it's a real sign that the people can take back power from the elites when they want to.
So I know you appeared on your dopey show, but who did you support?
In the end, I said that it was pragmatic to support Arnold, because I think it's time the Republicans had a chance in California, and this is the only way George Bush is going to have a chance to win California. So I supported Arnold in the end.
Well, now all of these women who came out of the woodwork here and complained about him groping, he said that he was going to deal with that after the election, but what is there to deal with?
Yeah, I think he was pushing that off. I mean, I don't think that we're going to see all that much attempt at continuing to dredge that up. I mean, maybe some women will say they want some financial settlement. That will be ugly, but maybe they'll start a new, Survivor show or something. All the Arnold people together.
Well, how did
Survivor, Sacramento.
We're talking
Tune in next week.
We're talking with Laura Ingraham, the author of Shut Up and Sing, which is already on first week at the New York Times bestseller list at number 6. But congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I kicked it off on your show, even though you were very sick that day. I was worried about you.
Back to McClintock for a second. How did he do?
McClintock got 13% of the vote, and that was pretty much what people were predicting. I mean, this is one.
And Arnold got what?
Arnold got 48, and Bust-a-Move Monte got 32. By the way, did you ever notice that Cruz Bustamante looked exactly like Cosmo Spacely, the boss in the Jetsons?
Well, I, not being a fan of the Jetsons, no, I didn't.
Well, you got to know pop culture, I mean.
He did look to me like a guy from the road crew for a Cheech and Chong movie, but...
No, but he's also like a third-generation immigrant, and he's trying to play this immigrant card. I don't understand that. He's like, estamos listos, estamos listos, screaming to the crowd, and about 4 people were clapping yesterday, as far as I could tell. But it was really classy when the people at the Gray Davis headquarters, not Gray himself, but the Gray Davis supporters, were screaming recall, the recall last night. They were screaming that in the crowd.
So he remains in office, right?
He does, for another about 30 days. They have to certify all the election results, and then maybe a couple more days, and then Arnold will be up there. And I understand that Gray Davis was furiously surfing hotjobs.com yesterday.
Now Arnold is he really a Republican? He's pro-abortion, pro-gay rights, anti-gun.
Well, he's much more of a Lincoln Chafee, Susan Collins, Olympia Snow Republican. He's certainly not a conservative Republican. But none of those hot button issues were really important to the people of California. They're in a mess, and they need businesses to come back to the state. And they like the fact, once again, that Arnold said, this is your state. This is not the state of the public employee unions or the Indian casinos or any of the special interests that Gray Davis had been sucking up to and Bustamante had been paid off by. And that really resonated with people because they felt like they had been cut out of this elite equation for too long, and they were sick of it.
Was Ariana, we're talking with Laura Ingraham, was Ariana Huffington still on the ballot even though she dropped out?
Let me just say, Imus, that it's very difficult in Brentwood to get Warren and Annette and Sean Penn out of the crying room. They're very upset this morning, but I'm going to continue fighting against the recall.
Green Acres is the place to be.
And Hillary Clinton never actually went out there. She phoned in some support, right?
My husband, Imus, I think it is it is awful of you to try to connect me with Arnold Schwarzenegger or the Gray Davis mess. I only phoned it in to Dianne Feinstein's rally. My husband went there.
Those are great, Laura. All of them.
I've been working on my Hillary.
Oh, God.
It blows my vocal cords to do.
My husband's administration. He didn't follow what my husband told him to do.
Now,
that's the voice you want to hear when you wake up in the morning and roll over in bed.
Oh, my God. I don't think that's ever happened between the two of them, do you?
Not likely.
Where you just awakened next to her and rolled over.
What do you think about this, Imus? What do you think about this? Vegas is always trying to think of new ways to attract people.
Yeah.
Siegfried and Gray.
No, come on here. I mean,
hey, I have a news flash for that guy in Harlem with the tiger.
Yeah.
And Roy.
Yeah.
Tigers bite.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, tigers bite.
Charles and I were in Vegas one time. I forget exactly when it was. With I think Deirdre and Connie. We were all there together, and we went to see. Somehow I got roped in to go in to see that dopey show, which I I hated, and to see these two mints around the stage with these stupid tigers who were way too close to me.
And also, it looks like he's recovering, which is great news. But what would you do if someone was batting you in the nose with a microphone? Which is apparently what he was doing.
I'd fight the bastard. That's what I'd do. I'd drag him out the stage and eat him.
He was banging the tiger with the microphone in the nose.
You know, Maureen Dowd. We're talking to Laura Ingraham, by the way, 17 till they are. Maureen Dowd had a column about, essentially, I think, about the hypocrisy of the various feminists for giving Clinton a pass and hammering Arnold on the groping of women issue. But sort of the same can be said about Republicans, isn't it fair to suggest? Because while there were a lot of Republican women hammering Bill Clinton, they gave Arnold a pass, or is that just specious?
Well, no, I think she has a point there, and I think that on the hypocrisy issue of the Democrats first, to see Gloria.
The last point is Bernard's point. The first point was hers. So.
Well, the Gloria Allred out here in California, to be dragging around.
I hate her.
that woman. Is she a nightmare?
I don't hate her, but I can't like her. Got it.
No,
Well, no, I hate her.
Okay, so don't even talk about her, because I don't remember her dragging around Juanita Broderick when she was accusing the president of sexual assault.
No.
But the Republicans, I think, said this to themselves, and it's a difficult situation that, look, in this case, Arnold at least came forward and did something that Bill Clinton didn't really ever do. He really did a mea culpa, and it might have been sort of inartfully worded, it might have been kind of goofy, but at least he did a mea culpa. And I think, again, women do themselves a disservice when they don't make the complaints at the time of the alleged incident. I think women in the workplace should continue to stand up for themselves, but make the point at the time. You can't do this stuff, 5 years later, 12 years later, 28 years later, one of these women were coming forward. I don't think that helps anyone. It certainly doesn't help women in the workplace.
Do you do Maria Shriver?
I don't do her. I'll work on that, though. Apparently she's going back to NBC, though, so she's going to be back in work.
What did Susan Estrich say to you when the cameras were off?
She is such a nice person, but I got the feeling that she might know that I do an impersonation of her. It was a little... No, she was very nice, actually. She's super nice, but I think the Democrats are really angry at her because she's really moved to the middle on politics.
I think it's unfair of you to be on Fox with me one night and go on with I don't know.
Thanks, Laura. Laura Ingraham, the author of Shut Up and Sing, How Ethics from Hollywood Politics and the UN Are Subverting America, already a New York Times bestseller. And you can hear Miss Ingraham on her radio program, which is on all over the country, on sometime in the morning or evening or sometime. Yeah. But just don't worry about it. It's 14 to the hour. Here's Charles with an update of what's going on in the world. Charles?
California Governor-elect Arnold Schwarzenegger, a tough job ahead of him. He has to find as many as 150 executives to take over management of the state's bureaucracy, and also needs to focus on the budget, as you pointed out, I-Man, and the projected $8 billion shortfall for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2004. Voters in California also soundly rejected a controversial ballot measure, Proposition 54, which would have restricted the state from collecting racial data. A Pittsburgh native who became a soldier in the Israeli army was killed Monday along the Israeli-Lebanese border. 21-year-old David Solomonov was shot by a sniper as his unit was patrolling the border.
Oh, God.
And a couple of other things. The NBC...
she's good with it.
Oh, with what?
Those impressions.
Oh, she is.
Having had some experience over the years with people who do impressions.
Yeah, she does really very well. The NBC...
Pretty funny stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It was good, anything?
I thought it was, yes. Oh, absolutely. It was great.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah.
What else?
The NBC Universal deal is definitely going down. A large number of shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles that were part of Saddam Hussein's arms supply missing and represent a security risk to airlines, certainly at Baghdad, and reason that they had been able to open the airport there to commercial traffic, but they're also worried whose hands have they gotten into on around the world. Yasser Arafat's advisors denying the report in the British newspaper The Guardian that Arafat, has suffered a mild heart attack. They just say he's got stomach flu and like that, but he's shaky.
Can't die quick enough.
He is shaky. And Roy Horns, as you were just discussing with Laura, Roy Horns' doctors say he is doing better now following the tiger attack.
Smacking a tiger in the head with a mic, you moron.
Remains, though, in critical condition at a Las Vegas hospital.
All right, Sid's coming up with sports, and then we'll talk with Jim Russert and Chris Matthews. All I just ahead is 12 minutes till the hour.
Chicken.
Yeah, that went in
pretty nice of him. You bet.
So I bought a pair of carpenter jeans, just because obviously don't need them, but
just because you felt odd.
Well, the two kids, the Modell's people ought to find out who these two kids are. I should have gotten their names.
Right.
Yeah, they were great. I mean, those are great employees.
Kind of people who you want in your organization.
People you want working for you.
You bet.
Man, they were terrific.
No, it is fun. It is good to run into that kind of situation. You feel good. I agree.
8 minutes after the hour, here's the White House correspondent for NBC News, David Gregory. Good morning, David.
Man, I would love to be somebody trying to sell you clothes in a store. That would be a fun experience, wouldn't it?
Why?
Well, this was a good experience, though, David. All the way around, apparently.
Terrific. I can just see another scenario where you were less than patient or less than happy with the selection.
I'm never that way.
You look at, you're standing in front of one of those four-way mirrors saying, "It looks awful."
First of all,
get me the manager, you little squirt.
Here's what I had to explain to Mr. Carmazon is why I was going to go. He said, "You're not going to go to the store and get them, are you? Why doesn't somebody do that for you? Why doesn't your manager or Joel Hollander? He was there. Why don't they? He runs Infinity. He said, why don't they handle this for you?
Right, a team of runners.
I said, well, I don't know, sir. Why they don't?
Because that's how you roll. You want something, you go out and do it yourself. You roll up your own sleeves.
Well, he's a man of the people.
Then when we went downstairs,
you have the limo stop and you get out yourself.
Sure.
When we went downstairs, then here's Joel and Lee are both then offering to have somebody go get me a Boston Red Sox hat, and I said, it's too late now, so I went myself, and I couldn't find one. I need a 6 7/8, a 7, and a 7 1/4, the fitted ones, not the phony ones.
Oh, of course.
Did you try on any visors?
No, I didn't, David.
Just checking. I mean, the idea of you on some sort of shopping spree, and just your arms overloaded. Anybody got a Minnesota Twins ball cap anywhere? I don't know. It just.
Hey, Bernie.
Yo.
Book either Mary Matlin or James Carville, which I need to ask him. Have you been watching K Street, David?
I have been, yeah.
Is it just, are there only about 10 of us who like it, or what?
I didn't watch the complete episode in this last one. It seemed a little dark. The thing is that I think Mary and James are such great characters on their own, and so I think they play very well. But my wife and I have a little bit of a disagreement as to whether people outside Washington find this interesting, and I think they will, and I don't know.
It's got a Twin Peaks quality to it. Did you ever watch Twin Peaks?
I used to, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very sort of strange undercurrent, and then you kind of go back to them, and it's just, crazy Washington, and their relationship, so.
So, looks like, did you read Maureen Dowd this morning?
I have not gotten to her yet.
Well, it's 10 minutes after 8 Eastern time. What have you been doing?
Well, I've been reading the Washington Post. I've been running after my child. I've been doing things my wife tells me to do. I mean, what can I tell you?
Well, you could tell me that you read Maureen Dowd and Tom Friedman.
I think he just told you that he hasn't gotten to them yet.
What did you read in the Washington Post?
Yeah.
I covered the major news of the day there, and I've done the same with the Times. I just haven't made it to the op-ed piece. But we can proceed. I see Maureen Dowd right now as Condi gaslighting Rummy. Well, by the way, wearing your hat that way doesn't detract from the seriousness of the conversation or anything.
I hope it doesn't. What do you think is going on? Is Maureen Dowd is kind of essentially suggesting that Donald Rumsfeld, that act of his is
wearing
thin, which it wore thin with me about 6 months ago, and that he's being now squeezed out.
I don't think it's dramatic as that. But I do think it's dramatic. I think this Iraq Stabilization Group, which is basically pulling into the White House responsibility for overseeing the reconstruction in Iraq, which is now squarely under the authority of, or was under the authority of the Defense Department, represents an attempt by the president to change direction over how the policy goes at a time when, what has become almost cliche. You've got these titanic battles between the Vice President's office and the Defense Department and the State Department over the future of Iraq. And it appears that some of those difficulties were getting a little too difficult to arbitrate. And now, as we've seen with Middle East diplomacy, now you've got the National Security Council, again, taking more direct control over how this is run.
Well, what is what's the press secretary's name?
Scott McClellan.
How's he doing?
He's doing fine.
Okay. Well, he had to. What did he lie initially, and then he had to try to backtrack that, or what happened?
No, I don't. What he said was initially that Rumsfeld was involved in the planning of this change of focus. Why are you laughing, Chuck?
Nothing about this, David. I'm sorry. This is a serious matter. I'm enjoying your analysis And please proceed.
Do you remember those two child rap stars? You know, they were like 12 years old, and they sang that song. You know, "Turn It Up, Chris, I'm About To."
Yeah.
That's who Imus looks like with that hat turned sideways.
I'm having a real difficulty.
I mean, you know, he's trying to analyze Don Rumsfeld, and he looks like a 13-year-old rap star.
That's the problem. That's the problem with our conversation.
Can you imagine him in the store yesterday, you know, putting one of those headbands on and saying, "Hey, G, how do I roll here? You like this?" I mean,
apparently, somebody in the White House, according to Time magazine, suggested Secretary Rumsfeld that he appear on this program. Gee, I wonder why he opted not to do that.
Yeah, right. Oh, this would be a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the initial issue with Scott McClellan was he said that Rumsfeld was involved in the planning of this, and Rumsfeld himself said that he was not. That there were some memos exchanged at a lower level, but that he was not involved in the recasting of this Iraq stabilization group. And Rumsfeld had what certainly on their face appeared to be some intemperate remarks about all of this in a roundtable interview with some European newspapers. He seemed to be peeved about all of this, and they were trying to walk that back yesterday.
How is, speaking of little Max, how is he doing?
He's doing great.
How old is he now?
He's 14 months.
Oh.
And he is so tall. He's got his feet are the size of a 2.5-year-old.
What are you trying to tell us here?
He's a big guy.
No, but I mean, I think there's some.
That'll be
He's not
fine.
trying to tell you anything other than his father is also very tall.
Right.
No, I think he's just trying to say.
And his father is also very.
LL Cool J. That'll be fine.
Hey, you know, one time, this will probably happen to you, David. Wyatt said to me one time, he's 5 now. He had a little erection, you know, and he didn't know why, and he wanted to know if he should be concerned about it. And I said, only when you don't get one is when you should worry.
Sounds like your father. Sounds like his father. He had a little erection and didn't know what it could for.
So you probably have that conversation with Max, and that's what I advise that you tell him.
I'm reading Maureen Dowd at the moment.
Okay. David Gregory, White House correspondent for NBC News.
Is she really going out with him? Oh, there she is. Let's ask her. Betty, is that Jimmy's ring you're wearing?
Hello.
Gee, it must be great riding with him. Is he picking you up after school today? By the way, where'd you meet him? I met him at the candy store. He turned around and smiled at me. You get the picture? Yes, we see. That's when I fell for Imus in the morning.
No, thanks. I can do it myself. I'm fine. No problem.
You said that you will not understand, probably, that you can't wait until you're in a position in your life where you think you have enough power where you can stand up to people and so on. Because if you go back 15 years ago, when the FCC was after Howard Stern, and for something he had said on the radio, which and some people had complained about it, and the FCC was threatening Stern and Infinity Broadcasting with their licenses, and Mel was running Infinity then, and he wasn't Mel Karmas. Well, he was Mel Karmas then, but he wasn't like he
wasn't as enormous a figure on the landscape.
Yeah, he wasn't like he is now. And he told them essentially that, to lump it, and they fought that. And at that point, if in your life, if you think you're going to go on to bigger and better things, which I'm sure he did at the time, Mel, I'm sure he figured at some point he'd be running Viacom or whatever, or some big company. I'm confident he did. He hadn't told me that, but nevertheless, he was willing to lay it all on the line at that point.
Absolutely.
And if he'd have lost that, and if Stern had lost it, I'm no big fan of Stern's, but we work for the same company, and I think right is right. You got to defend somebody when they're right. But when he was willing to go to the mat then, I remember you and I, that said to all of us who worked for him, and everybody in the company, that this was a stand-up guy, and he is to this day.
Yep. There's no question.
Conversely, you
are the anti-Mel Karmas.
This treatment of your trainer over there, poor little Cynthia, here's the bad part about it. When you tell her that this big fight's coming up, gets all this publicity, it's on TV, it's on the radio all over the country.
Deal.
It's a national deal.
Sure.
And when you tell her that she's going to be in your corner because she was your trainer,
Yeah.
she then goes and tells everybody.
All her acquaintances.
Her family, her
Absolutely.
friends, calls her mom in Florida or wherever.
Sure.
Calls grandma in where cotton cans or whatever.
Absolutely. No question.
And so then comes fight time, and she's not in the ring. We got the little blonde cutie in the ring. What's that all about, by the way?
Not only that, she wanted to be, she just wanted to attend like a regular paying customer. You know,
Exactly.
she wanted free tickets and sit in the side and watch.
Which I provided her and poor Richie.
Thank you.
I spoke to
Hi,
her
man.
just a few minutes ago. She doesn't want to go on the air.
Oh.
And she's more upset now because the impression being conveyed here is that Sid better dealed her for a Manhattan hottie and that she's some sort of queen's pig, which of course is not the case.
No, it's not the case.
But she's very wounded. She's very offended at this whole episode. She trained him for free for 8 months, got him in the best shape of his life.
Yep.
Yes.
And he just walked away from her.
Blew her off.
Better dealed her for some Manhattan hottie.
It's an unfortunate situation.
Cynthia's an attractive woman herself.
She is
Very attractive.
She is a cute girl.
Yeah, great body, cute
Where'd you
girl.
find the little blonde girl?
Oh, it was my wife's trainer, actually, in Chelsea, and I just, jumped on it.
Cynthia used to train your wife.
That's correct, yes. But it was too much of a hassle because it was too far to come here to Queens. Right? We lived in Manhattan, now we live in Jersey. But listen, I love Cynthia. It's an unfortunate situation, but you got to move on. Everybody else outside of this room, everybody else seems to think that it's not that big of a deal.
Who else thinks?
How about the email?
You emailed yourself, you bastard.
Another wacky stunt.
Yeah. You emailed yourself. Just Sheila Horowitz.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Right.
Dear Mr. Imus, while I share your opinion most of the time on the actions of Mr. Rosenberg, I feel that you are totally out of line on this one. Sid obviously had a lot on his mind the last few weeks.
Oh, here we go.
And berating him over something as banal as his ex-trainer's
Wait a
feeling. Well,
minute.
maybe he didn't write
That
it.
ain't from Sid.
no.
Berate and banal ain't from Sid.
Bundell must have written that one, no doubt.
I did actually write that. Banal,
You
trivial from the Latin banal. Yeah.
you absolute low-rent what? Pig-sucking, pig-butt skunk.
There's nothing I can do about it now. It happened.
You are vermin vomit.
Why did you let it happen? Why did
And then you
this
tell us that
occur?
you did call her to
you
apologize,
lied.
and you lied about that.
Another lie.
Thank you, Janice. You lied about having called her.
You came in here and lied 30 minutes ago.
Well, you guys give me no choice. I mean, you put me in that position.
What?
Of lying?
Yes, you
No, you put
Everyone puts you in a position of lying.
every once in a while. Well, you backed me into a corner. What was I supposed to do?
Tell the truth.
Well, that's
He doesn't know how to tell the truth.
No.
ridiculous.
Stand up for what's right. You can't pick a point. That was my whole point. You can't pick a point in your life to be a mensch.
You would rather tell a lie when the truth would help you.
You either are or you aren't.
That's right.
I think Charles is right. Yeah. I think he's right. Yes. I think I would. Well, listen, I feel bad, but there's nothing I can do. And I mean, I'm not going to apologize because I don't think I did anything really wrong in this case.
Of course you don't.
Other than it was just it was an omission on my part. I feel bad about it. If I could take it back, I would, but I can't.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You'd do it again in a heartbeat.
You don't care.
You screwed her over and you'd do it again.
Yeah,
There's nothing
good
she
point,
can do for
Eddie.
you anymore, so
Yeah.
goodbye.
No.
I hope she sends you a big fat bill for all the
Which
training.
she
that
won't
she
pay.
gives
What
you.
bill means nothing to her.
Bill. Why do you think the phone rings in the newsroom all the time? What do you think?
Certainly.
What do you think that is?
Why do you think Tacopina was in the freaking
They
corner?
keep changing cell phones every 4 months.
That's true.
As soon as the deal runs out.
That reminds me, by the way, T-Mobile's on their way out. Now,
Yeah, I know. Exactly. So you'll have a new
And
cell phone number.
today at 4 o'clock, Sid and Danielle go to the doctor for the sonogram to find out what sex the child is.
It looks
Yet
that
another
way.
lie.
No, that's true.
In your life.
No, that's exactly true. Yes. We're going to find out today, I think, what the sex of the baby
Well,
is. I'm
that's
very excited about that.
That's
Bernie's baby,
That's
as we affectionately refer to the child.
Bernie, you going to come along, by the way? Check out the sonogram today.
28 after the hour. God, you are a horrible human being. Honest to God, you repulse me. Wait till I tell Wyatt.
Want some whiskey in your water, sugar in your tea? What's all these crazy questions they're asking me? This is the craziest party that could ever be. Don't turn on the lights, cause I don't want to see. I'm not going to come. I'm not going to come. That ain't the way that I find out. I'm in the morning.
This week is National Fire Safety Prevention Week. I've got an important fire safety message for you. For parents whose kids attend colleges and universities, are the dormitory buildings where your child is housed protected with an automatic fire sprinkler system? Did you ask that question when Les was going to school, Charles, down at Rollins College?
I did not, and thank God nothing happened.
Maybe you ought to think about that.
You're right.
If you're like most parents, you just assume your kid's safe.
Yep, that's what we did.
Unfortunately, this could be a tragic mistake. In Chuck's case, thankfully it wasn't.
Yep.
May not be the case in your case. I mean, be amazed at the number of colleges and universities that do not have fire sprinklers in their student housing. So log on to nfsa.org for more information on fire safety and student housing by using the link to Campus Firewatch. Tomorrow I'll talk to Congressman Kurt Weldon about legislation that's meant to address this and provide some incentives for people to install fire sprinklers. So you can check all that out. All right, if photography is becoming a real passion for you, then Nikon has the camera. Might be interested in. It's the wrong spot, isn't it?